Alright, to get you started on here, I want to go through some of these problems on your worksheet. So I'm going to write the problems out here and then go through solving them step by step. Hope you enjoy the music in the background. Yay, band! Okay, so when solving, first find the letter x here. So we got to get rid of the times 7 and get rid of this subtract 30. So you always do addition subtraction first because you do opposite of order of operations to undo everything. So I add 30 to both sides. So these cancel. I have 7x, and then 19 plus 30 gives me 49. And then it says 7 times x, so we undo multiplication by dividing. Divide by 7 on both sides, so that these cancel out. And I get x is less than 7, because 49 divided by 7 is 7. And this is a positive number, so don't flip the sign. You only flip it if you multiply or divide by a negative. Alright, so now we're going to graph this on our number line. So put the 7 right in the middle, and then give me one number smaller. I'm using graph paper. I should use a graph paper lines. I'll start doing that from now on. And then we circle our number, circle the 7. And I look, it doesn't have a line underneath, so I'm going to keep it open. And less than 7, so it goes to the left. Remember, the trick is if it points to the left, it goes to the left. Remember that your variable has to be on the left side, otherwise you have to flip it if it's not. Alright, so then number 2. So find where x is. We have to get rid of this negative 7 and the minus 4 here. So this negative 4 is times x, so we do that last. Let's get rid of negative 7 by adding 7 to both sides. Because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Those will cancel out. So I do the same thing on the other side of our inequality. So that leaves me, don't forget the sign with the 4 here. It leaves me with negative 4x is less than, and 13 plus 7 is going to be 20. And now we are going to undo this times negative 4 by dividing by negative 4 on both sides. These cancel out, and you should be yelling, stop! You divide by a negative, flip the sign. So we flip this sign here. So x is now greater than, when we divide these, we get negative 5, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Alright, and then let's graph this. So put negative 5 in the middle. And remember with negatives, this is going to be actually negative 6, and this one will be negative 4. And then I circle my negative 5. I keep it open. X is greater than that, so I go to the right. It is pointing to the right. Greater than goes to the right. Next problem here. Here we have 3 times x minus 1. So let's get rid of the subtraction by adding 1 to both sides of our inequality. So these cancel. And 1 plus 1 is 2. And to undo the 3 times x, we divide by 3. We do that to both sides so that these cancel. X is greater than. This isn't a whole number, so just keep it as the fraction 2/3. That's fine to just leave it just like that. Alright, draw my number line. Put 2/3 here. So give me any number smaller, so let's just pick 0. And any number bigger, so I'm just going to pick 1. They're not going by the same amount, but I'm just showing you that you can make it really simple. So I circle my 2/3. X is greater than that. Goes to the right. Alright, number 4. We undo the addition before the multiplication. So I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. Those cancel. So 2x is less than or equal to, let's see, 9 minus 5 would be 4. And then divide by 2 on both sides to undo our multiplication. On these problems, I did not divide by a negative. They're both positive, so I do not flip my sign. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Excuse me. Okay, stick 2 in the middle, a number smaller, a number bigger. I circle the 2. It has a line underneath, so I get to fill it in this time because x can equal 2 and everything less than 2. So there's my less than sign. Alright, hopefully you have the basics down, so now I'm skipping ahead to some of the harder problems to help you through the challenges you might face with fractions or distributive property. Alright, jump into 15. Again, find where your variable x is. So we have to undo the fraction and subtraction. So same process where we undo the subtraction first by adding to both sides. And careful here with the negative. Negative 12 plus 18 is the same as 18 minus 12. So you're going to get 6. Then we have the 3/5 times x. These 18s cancel out. And then remember, to get rid of a fraction, you multiply it by the reciprocal. So I flip it, multiply it by the reciprocal. So times both sides by 5 over 3. So remember, these 5's cancel, these 3's cancel, leaving me with x. Then here, put 6 over 1. And you can remember that you can reduce this. 3 goes into 6 twice, so that cancels, and this can be a 2. But if you don't remember that, that's okay. You can just do 5 times 6 is 30, and 3 times 1 is 3, so over 3. And then simplify that further by taking 30 divided by 3. And that gets you 10. Alright, now our variable is on the right. We need to flip it so we don't accidentally do our graph backwards, remember? So I move the x, flip it over to this side, and that means I have to flip my sign as well. I flip the whole thing around. So really this says x is greater than 10. There we go. X is greater than 10. Now I'm going to graph this. 10, 11, put a 9 over here. I circle my 10, I fill it in. X is greater than, so it goes to the right. So there's a little bit of a harder one. 16. When you see those parentheses, that's the distributive property. So we need to distribute first. That means you take negative 3 times x, and negative 3 times, not just 2, but negative 2. Take that sign in front. Always take the sign in front. So I'm going to rewrite this part, because I haven't changed anything over here. And negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Alright, now let's get all my x's to one side. So you have x's on both sides here. Now, before I told you to move the smaller one, but we always want our x on the left side, remember? So I'm actually going to always move to the left. So this is a negative 3x, so I add 3x to move it to the other side. Add 3x here, so those cancel. These are like terms. 7 plus 3 is 10x. I write out the rest of my inequality. It's a positive 6. Okay, now it's back to like the two-step equations we did earlier. Here's our x. It's times 10 minus 2, so I have to add 2 to both sides first. We always add before we divide or multiply. And 6 plus 2 is 8. Because, order of operations. We do it backwards when solving equations. Now it's x times 10, so I divide by 10 on both sides. X is less than or equal to 8 over 10. Reduce that. 2 goes into both those numbers. So if I divide those both by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So reduce your fractions if you can. X is less than or equal to 4 over 5. And so graphing this, if this is 4 over 5, I'll make this 3 over 5, and I'll make this 5 over 5, which is the same as 1. Alright. Circle it. We fill it in, so there's a line underneath, it can equal that, and less than goes to the left. Hope that helps you. Good luck with everything.